Good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to shed some light on the real reason the U.S. is involved in so many wars. It is because the U.S. has had a policy since the end of World War I or II, I can't remember, to have global primacy, to be the hegemony power. And it has accomplished this to pursuing a strategy of global imperialism where the U.S. has to be the top, strongest one. None of our allies can be as strong. So the only way that any countries could exist in the world is to be an ally of the US, a weaker ally, where you do what we say. Consider Europe, Saudi Arabia, and so on, weaker allies, Jordan, places like that. And if you dare to be your own independent country that wants to just be equal or trade with the US, not be under the thumb of the US, they were going to either do sanctions, wars, color revolutions, yeah, sanctions, wars, color revolutions. I think I left something out. But anyway, I'm going to be sharing with you a clip from a video from a channel that I often watch, from Brian Berletic, a former U.S. Marine who is now in Thailand, and he writes articles for different journals on deeper, like military strategies and insights. So he's pretty good. I like to follow him to understand more about what's going on. And to this end, the US has been using Ukraine to try to weaken Russia. That's another thing, because US has been trying to weaken Russia for like 50 years. So it's been on a plan to weaken Russia. And the reason that the US is so invested in the genocide in Israel and does whatever Israel wants, I don't think it's as simple as the Israel lobby. I think it's so Israel is our foothold in West Asia. Israel is our foothold in Western Asia, and from Israel, the US is able to destabilize, that's another thing they do, they destabilize the region so that they can't become powerful. Because see, when you're sanctioned and you have chaos in your country and turmoil, it's hard to grow economically. It keeps you weak. The sanctions keep you weak, and the political instabilities keep you weak. And the wars keep you weak. So US has used Israel to try to destabilize Yemen, Syria, and all the countries around there, and to try to go after Iran. That has been a long-standing target of the US, and so they've been building up gradually. So let's go through an example, and then I'll play the video clip of his at the end, of how the US. See, even the New York Times was already writing in 1982, and you'll see this in the clip that I play. It had an article called U.S. Strategy Plan Calls for Ensuring No Rivals Develop. But you can find articles like that going even further back. No rivals develop. And after the fall of the Soviet Union, they considered Russia a rival. So what happened? And again, this will all be in the clip I play. It started with Clinton in the 90s, where they overthrew Serbia's government in 2000, and they did the NATO bombing and division of Yugoslavia. So this is all a buildup to try to weaken Russia. They've done all these things to weaken Russia since 1983. Why did we bomb Yugoslavia? Like, there was no reason, so let's keep going. Then Bush, who was in office from 2001 to 2009, he attempted an overthrow of Ukraine and Belarus, a successful overthrow of Georgia in 2003, the 2008 Georgian attack on the Russian forces, and he withdrew us from the anti-ballistic missile treaty. Then Obama came into office in 2009. That's when he overthrew the Ukrainian government in 2014. That's when Zelensky came in. Zelensky was actually voted in by popular vote. He speaks Russian. He had to learn Ukrainian. He was actually like a populist candidate that would bring both sides of the country together, because the eastern side is mostly Russian speaking. And then when the US told him, no, you can't do that, you have to fight Russia. Anyway, let me continue. So Obama overthrew the Ukrainian government in 2014 and installed a hostile client regime in Kiev. Zelensky and all of those people, they were NATO friendly. So they switched out the Russian friendly government and installed a Russian antagonistic government under Obama. Then they violated the Minsk agreements. They violated those. And Angela Merkel says, oh yeah, we never meant to keep those agreements anyway. They stationed Aegis ashore systems in Europe that would have violated the anti-ballistic missile treaty. Okay? Then Trump came into office. He provided lethal aid to Ukraine, NATO missiles stationed there on the border to Russia. He recreated the 2003 to 2008 Georgian scenario, and he withdrew from the INF treaty in 2019. We're withdrawing from treaties, we're creating chaos, see? But that now Biden comes in, and Ukraine has been Biden's project for many, many years. So Biden came in, the groundwork was set, and he presided over the long-desired proxy war with Russia and Ukraine. And he stations INF treaty-banned missiles in Germany aimed at Russia. Why? Hegemony. There's no reason. Russia's done nothing to us. Why are we overthrowing Ukraine? And they say it's democracy, but that's just to get you to buy in, get them over there so they don't get us over here. That's all BS. Because remember, the people we went to get weren't even the people that flew the airplanes. It was the Saudis who flew the airplanes. But we went into Afghanistan under a false lie in Iraq. I don't even know why we went into Afghanistan, because ISIS is there. We created ISIS. It's all because Americans are not thinking about foreign policy, and I didn't really much either, because all that stuff happened so far away. And Americans still don't care about foreign policy. They care about the money being spent. They don't understand why these wars are going on. They believe that Russia's bad and we're the good guys spreading democracy. But they don't really care about all that. They don't get it. But what they do see is, we need this money spent at home. The economy's bad. Why are you sending money to Ukraine? Ukraine is just, they've killed hundreds of thousands of young men in Ukraine and Russia through these wars. But they don't care. It's just the cost of doing business. Okay, Israel, same way. It's a way of preserving American power. That's why we're sending bombs to kill civilians in Gaza, Lebanon. People don't follow it because it's way over there. It's those people over there. So that's how they're able to get away with it. And then when people do protest, the police come after them. So that's why we are in these wars, because we want to be the big guy. The problem now is we've reached our limits. Like, we're spread really thin, and we can't afford to fight Russia and Iran, because they're actually militarily more powerful than we are. But they don't tell you that on the news. Have you ever realized they stopped talking about Ukraine? It's like, they're gonna pull out the same way they pulled out of Afghanistan, like quietly when nobody's looking somehow. And I don't know what they're gonna do about Iran, because they can't go after Iran. So I don't know what the strategy is, but that's why we're supporting Israel, so that we have a foothold in the Middle East. And what's going to happen when the U.S. politicians realize we're not as powerful as we thought? Because the military personnel apparently are very different from the political personnel, because the Pentagon can say, these are our weapons, these are our limits, this is what these people can do. That's why I think it was the Pentagon that said, we are not giving Ukraine long-range missiles that they can fly into Russia. That is a red line. But Biden was ready to do it. These people are living under their own delusions, as we all are, right? We create our own reality. So that's why we're in Ukraine. That's why we're sending weapons to Israel, because of the U.S. policy of having to be the big guy, the only guy, the head honcho of the entire planet. And hopefully, I think that facade is starting to crack, and that will be a good thing, in my opinion. It's not a good idea to try to be the warlord of the world, to create chaos all over the world, to create tension all over the world. What if we could be like the leaders, like a China, like a leader that, or like Russia is doing with the whole BRICS thing, the Belt and Road Initiative? What if we could be the leaders of coalitions of powerful countries working together to create new products and opportunities and lift people up with regenerative farming and wonderful products and less of a gap between the rich and the poor? What if we could be the leaders in actually building a better world rather than destroying the world? What if that could be our global objective as Americans? Can always dream. Now I'm going to play the clip that goes with this video, and I'm going to tell you the name of his channel. The New Atlas. And this video is called U.S. Presidential Elections and Israeli Strikes Demonstrates the Limits of Western Military Might. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you in the next video.
Changed, then a change in the White House or a change in Congress is not going to change anything either. And as a matter of fact, I've already done a video about this. I will put the link in the video description below and in a pinned comment at the top of the comment section. Who really controls U.S. foreign policy? I explain all about continuity of agenda. I use the encirclement of Russia from 1993 to 2024 as an example. And I show how each and every president played their role, working their way toward this proxy war being fought against Russia right now in Ukraine, including President Donald Trump during his first administration. And so the only thing that is going to change are the lies that we are told as to why things are not changing, and the excuses whoever so happens to support the U.S. president at any given time make for why their candidate that they voted into office is not doing what they promised to do during their campaign. That is the only thing that will change. Now, the real reason I'm making this video is actually to read this article that I wrote recently for New Eastern Outlook, Israeli Strikes Demonstrates Limits of Western Military Might. And it's an example of a wider shift in military, economic, and political power away from the collective West led by the U.S. toward a multipolar world. And if you see the United States withdrawing from conflicts, it is not because they have changed their mind about waging war against the entire world. It is because they are reaching the physical limits in their ability to do so. They want to pursue global primacy. They are reaching physical limits in the pursuit of that global primacy. And if you read articles like this from the New York Times, this was all the way back in 1992, but there's also government documents from the end of World War II, all saying the same thing. U.S. strategy plan calls for ensuring no rivals develop, not in Europe, not in Asia, not in the Middle East, not anywhere, not strong allies who have independent foreign policy, and not adversaries. And down here, it talks all about a world dominated by one superpower, the United States, obviously, whose position can be perpetuated by constructive behavior and sufficient military might to deter any nation or group of nations from challenging American primacy.